Okay, now we are in lesson number 9, that is bank account and the bank reconciliation statement. So we studied about 2 weeks in this lesson now, and we covered the first part. So hopefully it will take about 4 weeks to cover this lesson. Okay, now we covered the first part, that is bank account. We look at what are the transactions that are being recorded in the bank account and bank overdraft, and we did a question from the bank account. Okay, so we have completed almost 8 lessons up until now. And we discussed why we need a bank account. We told when businesses are evolving, they are moving away from cash transactions into different modes of transactions. One such thing is using checks and using a current account. So you can issue a check without having money in the bank account, an advantage. Okay. And we discussed there are 4 types of transactions involved in the bank account: deposit of cash in the bank, deposit of checks received by the business, issuing of checks, dishonoring of checks. And when it comes to dishonoring of checks, there are dishonoring of deposited checks and dishonoring of issued checks. So deposit of cash, there are 2 forms. One is you are making a deposit, an initial deposit, and the next one is you are depositing cash in the bank in the normal course of business. Okay, so when you deposit cash in the current account, balance in the current account is increasing, and the cash account balance is decreasing. Anyway, we have considered the bank, the account in the bank also as a asset account. Okay, so when we deposit money in the bank, we debit the bank account, whereas cash account, we are crediting the cash account. And deposit of checks received by the business, this is also about the normal course of business, where you firstly receive the money, put it in your bank's drawer, and then depositing it in the bank. Okay. And the second instance is where you straight away deposit money in the bank. Once, as soon as you receive the money, you are crediting the sales account and you are debiting the bank account. Earlier case was firstly you deposit money in the cash in your drawer. I mean, in සල්ලි තියෙන ලාච්චුට මුලින්ම දාලා check එක ඊට පස්සේ තමයි බැංකුවට දාන්නේ. මේකෙදි වෙන්නේ කෙලින්ම check එක ගිහිලා bank එකේම deposit කරනවා. Right? Okay. Then we had the issuing of checks, depositing of checks කියන එක opposite side. We receive checks, and on the other hand, for the expenses, we are issuing checks. So when we are issuing checks, what is happening to bank account? Can anyone say what is happening to bank account when we issue checks? Will it the bank balance, will it go down or will it go up? Can someone say quickly? Students, engage, speak up. Now, when we are issuing the checks, what is
Go down, sir.
going down? Now, once we are issuing the check, what is happening? What happens is bank balance is going down because there is an expense, and for that expense, we are making a payment out of cash available in the bank using a check. So, because of that, bank balance is going down. Okay. So, bank balance is considered as asset account. When asset account is going down, you are crediting the account, bank account, and you're issuing checks for the expenses and you're debiting the account. Okay, expenses account. So this is the look of a check. This is called the counter file, and this is called the check. Okay, we discuss about this in detail during the class. And then comes the dishonoring of checks. Dishonoring of checks is happening when the check is in disorderly and when check balance is not sufficient and signatures on the checks are differ from the specimen signature. Dishonoring of checks කියන්නේ අපි check එකක් දුන්නට පස්සේ ඒ check එක accept නොකර check එක dishonor කරනවා. Like they are not accepting the check, rather they are returning the check. Okay, that is what is known as the dishonoring of check. There are situations where bank refuses checks due to several reasons, and this is known as the dishonoring of checks. And once you are dishonoring a check, we are receiving a check return notification. And we also told this return notification is also important as a legal document for collecting money from the debtors if they do not pay it into the future. Okay. And dishonoring of checks, we discussed about dishonoring of deposited checks and dishonoring of issued checks. Okay. So we told what happens is usually a reversal of the original entry. A reversal of the original entry will be happening in a dishonoring of a check situation. And then we did an exercise. Over the last week, we did an exercise using like identifying different scenarios. You can access it to the you can access it using the YouTube as well. I have already uploaded that to the YouTube. And yeah, that's it. And we also discuss about the bank overdraft. Overdraft is where, let's say now, without having money in the account, sometimes some payments can be paid. So that is a situation of bank overdraft. Usually bank account is carrying a debit balance because it is a asset account. But here what is happening is you have the bank account and suddenly you are receiving a payment. Let's say it's a small payment and you don't have balance in the account, a debit balance in the account, but still you are making the payment. Bank manager is still allowing you to make the payment, authorizing the check payment. And when that payment is done, a bank overdraft is being created. That is a credit balance in the bank account. There are situations where bank allow their customers to issue checks more than the existing balance in the current account, more than the existing balance in the current account. And this facility is known as the bank overdraft. Okay. As we said, the credit balance in the bank account is known as the bank overdraft. So we did this exercise, we wrote the note, we did this exercise, and today we are going to learn about the bank reconciliation statement. So did you all understand everything clear up until now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall we move on to bank reconciliation statement then?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Bank reconciliation statement. Okay. Now, what is bank reconciliation statement? That is what we are going to learn in this lesson. Okay. Firstly, we will look at how transactions are recorded in the books of the commercial bank that maintain current accounts in on behalf of the businesses. ඒකදී simply කියන්නේ දැන් අපි මුලින්ම බලන්න හදන්නේ කොහොමද බැංක් එකක් දැන් අපි ඉස්සර ඉගෙන ගත්තේ how a business is recording its bank transactions no? On the other way, the commercial bank, a bank is having the businessman's account, so we have to look at how they record as well. Okay, the transactions of business operated through current account are also recorded by bank in its books. අර මං කිව්වා වගේ අර අපි business එකක් පැත්තෙන් as same as a business is maintaining its own set of accounts, bank is also having their account. Business is having their account, whereas bank is having their account. So two parties, business and the bank. Okay. So account that is maintained by the bank of the business is treated as a liability account of the bank. Then now we studied over the last couple of weeks when a business is having a bank account, that account is considered as an asset account because business's money is in that particular account with the bank. So it's an asset to the bank. Okay. Simply, business will have a cash inflow into the business when a settlement is made. But on the other hand, when you look at the bank account, in the terms of a bank, bank එක පැත්තෙන් bank account, customer කෙනෙක්ගේ bank account එක කියන එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම, it's a liability. In terms of businessmanගේ bank account එක businessmanට available it's a debit, it's a asset account. Whereas in terms of bank, in the perspective of a bank, for bank, that bank account is a liability account. Account that is maintained by the bank of a business is treated as the liability account. ඒක නිකම් mirror image එක වගේ. මගේ business account එක මට asset එකක්. හැබැයි මගේ business account එක bank එකට liability එකක්. මගේ business account එක මට asset එකක්. මගේ business account එක bank එකට liability එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ bank එක හැමතිස්සෙම බැඳිලා ඉන්නවා. මම සල්ලි ඉල්ලුවම ඒකට ගෙවන්නේ. නිසා it's a liability to bank. Therefore, bank record transactions of the business according to the double entry principles of liabilities. Now, earlier, when we record about when we record bank account and the transactions, we recorded it as per the principles of treating an asset. Asset එක treat කරන විදිහට තමයි we recorded the transactions. But now here, what happens is bank. What is bank doing? Bank is recording it the other way around. Bank is recording the transactions of the business according to the double entry principles of liabilities. Liability එකකට treat කරන විදිහට තමයි bank එක record කරන්නේ. Right? Accordingly, transactions that increases the bank balance should be credited and transactions that decreases the bank balance should be debited. Now, earlier we learned when the bank account balance is going up, we are debiting the account because it is my asset account. But now we are looking at bank's perspective. What is bank thinking? What is bank? How bank is treating? So when the bank balance is going up, what is happening is the liability balance of the bank is going up. Because of that, you have to credit the account. Okay, in terms of bank, in the perspective of bank. So let's look at how transactions are recorded in the books of the bank. Okay, let us study how bank has recorded few bank transactions of a business in its books. Open balance account, credit favorable. Now earlier when there was a favorable balance in the bank account of a business, when we are looking from the businessman's angle, it was a debit balance. But here it's a credit balance because it is a liability. And when cash is depositing, you are crediting the account. When checks are depositing, you are crediting the account. Why is that? Why we are crediting the account? Can someone say? When cash or checks are deposited into current account, from the bank's perspective, they are crediting the account. Why is that? Hmm? Very simple is when cash or checks are deposited into the bank, what is happening is the liability balance, the balance that bank is supposed to pay for their customers is going up. So because of that, you are crediting it. Check payments you are debiting, bank charges you are debiting, charges for the checkbook you are debiting, and when you are receiving a direct deposit, you are crediting it. Okay, this is how bank is recording their transactions. Values which are debited in the bank account that is maintained by the businesses are credited by the bank in the account maintained by the bank. The simple thing I told you. දැන් බිස්නස්මන් කෙනෙක් බෑන්ක තමන්ගේ බෑන්ක් account එකට ට්‍රීට් කරන විදිහට අද වේ තමයි බෑන්ක් එක ඒ account එකටම ට්‍රීට් කරන්නේ. For example, when a businessman deposit money in his business account, in that businessman's records, he is debiting the account. Whereas from the bank's perspective, they are crediting the account. Okay, values which are credited by the business in the bank account are debited by the bank in the account. Finally, if there is a debit balance in the bank account maintained by the business, there will be a credit balance in the bank account maintained by the bank for the business. ඒ කියන්නේ debit balance එකක් තියෙනවා නම් business එකේ අපි business එක ගත්තම business එක maintain කරන accounts වල debit balance එකක් නම් තියෙන්නේ bank එකේ perspective එකෙන් බලුවොත් එහෙම when they look at it in the bank's perspective, they are having a credit balance in the bank account. Okay. So that's it. Did you understand all these things? What are the no, unclear points that you had? Tell me. Uh, Okay, let's start writing the note. Put a subheading bank reconciliation statement. I will I'll sort of like read out this and then I'll give you a small time so you can write it out. Okay. Transactions conducted by the business through its current account are recorded by the bank in its books. The bank treats the account it maintains for the business as a liability account. The bank treats the account it maintains for the business as a liability account. හරිද? අපි කලින් කතා වුණ දේ. As a result, the bank follows the double entry accounting principles for liabilities when recording these transactions. This means that transactions that increase the account balance are credited. This means that transactions that increase the account balance are credited. Why? Because we consider it as a liability, while those that decreases the balance are debited. In contrast to business, bank record transactions conducted by the business as follow. කියලා වෙලා පල්ලෙහාම chart එක අපි කලින් කතා කරපු එක දීලා තියෙනවා. So you can start writing the note. I'll give you about 5 to 7 minutes. Can you start writing the note? Students, can you start writing the note?
Okay, sir.
Okay, please start writing the note. Litumi, we just started the bank reconciliation statement. Okay, not much of a thing. Bank reconciliation statement එකේදී වෙන්නේ අපි කලින් bank account එක කියන එක ගත්තේ asset account එකක් විදිහට business කරන කෙනාගේ පැත්තෙන් ගත්තා. හරිද? ඒ account එකම same account එකම bank එක පැත්තෙන් ගන්න කොහොමද කියලා තමයි දැන් බලන්නේ. හරිද? business එකක තියෙන bank account එක business එක කලින් consider කරේ asset account එකක් විදිහට. ඒ account එකම bank එක පැත්තෙන් බලන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා තමයි අපි මේ දැන් මේ වෙලාවේ ඉගෙනගෙන ආවේ. bank එක පැත්තෙන් that same account it will be looked at as a liability account. ඔයාලට තේරෙනවද මම කියපු එක? Latham, did you understand? Uh, Latham, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, did you understand what I told you?
Yes.
So that's it. ඒ කියන්නේ අරකම bank account එක business එක පැත්තෙන් asset account එකක් විදිහට consider කරා. ඒ same account එක in the view of the bank එක treat කරද්දී ඒක liability account එකක් විදිහට තමයි treat කරන්නේ. ඔය ටික තමයි අපි කතා වුනේ. You can start writing the note. Take about 5 to 6 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, let's move on to the next slide as time is moving on. Okay. The amount debited in the bank, I'll read out the note first. The amount debited in the bank account maintained by the businesses are credited by the bank in its correspondent account. The amount debited in the bank account maintained by the businesses are credited by the bank in its correspondent account. Similarly, the amounts credited by the business in its bank account are debited by the bank. Consequently, if the business's bank account shows a debit balance, bank account for the business will reflect a correspondent credit balance. අපි අර කලින් කතා වුණ එක. business එක debit කරොත් එහෙම ඒකටම අයිති correspondent account එක bank එක credit කරනවා. හරිද? And the other way around when it comes to debits. So at the end of the day business එකේ bank account එකේ debit balance එකක් නම් තියෙන්නේ ඒ බැලන්ස් එක ඒ කොරස්පොන්ඩන්ට් account එක බැංක් එකේ view එකේ බැලුවොත් එහෙම ඒක රිෆ්ලෙක්ට් වෙන්නේ ක්‍රෙඩිට් බැලන්ස් එකක් තමයි රිෆ්ලෙක්ට් වෙන්නේ. Okay, you can complete the note. Take about 3 to 2 minutes and complete the note. Okay, let's look at the bank statement. Okay, now we are going to look at what is bank statement is. Usually, banks send a statement called bank statement to their client account holders once a month. And this bank statement, it shows opening balance and items which are debited and credited to the bank during the month and the closing balance. So in simple terms, what happens is when you are maintaining a current account, the bank is sending you a statement about what happened in the bank during that particular month. මේ statement එකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ bank statement එක කියලා. In this statement, you have firstly the opening balance and the items that are debited, items that are credited, and finally the closing balance. So as of now, what is happening is bank is sending the computerized printouts to the businesses. Okay, sometimes for the current accounts, they may send, let's say, a hard copy, a paper sheet, whereas sometimes they can send even the soft copy, a email. Okay. So the statement that is sent by the bank is known as the bank statement or the statement of accounts. Bank statement එක කියලාත් කියනවා, statement of accounts කියලාත් කියනවා. So this is a example of how it looks like. Now, firstly, on top of it, it says the statement of account of the owner, who is the account owner. And then it's the address. So this is the date, okay, to which month end that they are sending. And this is the currency. This is LKR, sometimes even in dollar, GBP. Those currencies could also have accounts. Then you have the which bank and the branch and the branch code and the account number. Now let's see here. It starts with the opening balance. This is a debit balance. For the business, it's a debit balance. Okay. And then you have the payments and the receipts. And then finally, you have the final balance. So total deposits, you have 14 items, whereas withdrawals, you have 7 items. So this is how it looks like. Okay. The bank account of the business shows the cash at the bank when balancing of its bank account. The bank statement sent by the bank shows the money at the bank of the business according to the books of the bank. If both parties had recorded all transactions related to the current account, these two balances should be similar. හරිද? දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම bank account එකේ හරිද business එකේ තියෙන bank account එකේ පෙන්නන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් bank එකේ මෙච්චර ගාණක් තියන්න ඕන කියලා පෙන්නනවා. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ business එක හදනවානේ bank account එකක්. ඒ bank account එක month end එකේ final balance එක තමයි ideally bank එකේ තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද? හැබැයි bank එකත් එවනවා වෙනම එයාලා වෙනම statement එකක් එවනවා. මෙන්න මේක තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ account එකේ තියෙන balance එක කියලා. හරිද? දැන් හැමෝම මේ transactions ඔක්කොම හරියටම record කරා නම් the month end balance in the bank statement and the month end balance in the bank account of the business should be similar. Okay. If both parties had recorded all the transactions related to the current account, these balances should be similar. But in practical instances, there can be situations where businesses balance and the bank statement balance could differ. Okay. The reasons for this difference is the certain transactions which have been recorded in the bank account are not recorded in the bank statement, and certain other transactions recorded in the bank statement are not recorded in the bank account. මම අර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ in a ideal scenario එකේ අපි කැලි දෙකක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් එහෙම bank account එකේ කියන්නේ business එක maintain කරපු bank account එකේ month end balance එකයි bank statement එක බැංකුවෙන් එවපු bank statement එකේ month end balance එකයි කියන items දෙකේම තියෙන figure එක සමාන වෙනවා. But in a practical scenario, the monkey we are ideal scenario. But in a practical scenario, what happens is These two balances could differ. අර bank account එකේ තියෙන month end balance එකයි bank statement එකේ තියෙන month end balance එකයි වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට හේතුව මොකද්ද? The reason behind that is some transactions that we record in the bank account might not have been recorded in the bank statement. අපි bank account එකේ මොන හරි දේවල් ටික අපේ පැත්තෙන් record කරා but it's not been recorded in from the bank side. Whereas the other reason, bank has recorded some transactions in the bank statement where I have not recorded in my bank account of the business in my ledger accounts. So when these two things happen, හරිද එකම දේ දෙපැත්ත කියන්නේ when these two things happen, these balances are differing. When this differing is happening, you need a bank reconciliation statement to reconcile those differences. That is what we are learning. So let's move on to the note. I will read out the note. Did you understand this particular thing? The thing I told you. Guys, please speak up. If you, if you cannot speak, just drop me a message over Zoom or WhatsApp and ask the questions. That is the benefit you're having being present here.
Understood, sir.
Understood. Okay, super. Okay, then we'll go for the note. I will read this out and then you can write it. Usually, banks send a statement called bank statement to their current account holders once a month. The bank statement shows the opening balance, items which are debited and credited by the bank during the month, and the closing balance. At present, banks send a computer printout to the business that hold a current account. The statement that is sent by the bank is known as the bank statement or the statement of accounts. Bank statement එක කියලාත් කියනවා, statement of accounts කියලාත් කියනවා. When a business balances its bank account, it reflects the cash available at the bank. Meanwhile, bank statement provided the bank shows the business account balance according to the bank records. Ideally, if the business and the bank have recorded all transactions related to the current account, these two balances should match. However, in practice, discrepancies often arise between the business's bank account balance and the balance shown in the bank statement. These differences occur because of some transactions recorded in the business's bank account may not yet be reflected in the bank statement and vice versa. Okay, now you can start writing the note. Take a couple of minutes and start complete writing the note. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay. So now we spoke about two things. One thing is the bank account. The other thing is the banking statement. And we were looking at the month-end balance of these two statements. Okay. And we told in an ideal scenario, this should be similar. These two balances of the bank account and banking statement account balance, these should be similar. But practically, there could be some instances where these two balances are different. Okay. Now we are going to figure out why are these two balances are differing. So there are different reasons for the difference between final balance of the bank account and the final balance of the bank statement. Okay, there are five in particular that we are going to learn. The checks issued but not presented to the bank for the payment, the checks deposited but not realized, direct remittances, payment on standing orders, bank charges, and the charges on checkbook. So these five are the five main reasons where the bank account balance and the bank statement balances are different. Checks issued but not presented to the bank for payment, the checks deposited but not realized, direct remittances, payment on standing orders, bank charges, and charges on checkbook. So you can put a heading, the reasons for the difference between the final balance of the bank account and the final balance of the bank statement, and start writing this. There can be instances where final balances of the bank account and the final balance of the bank statement are different. Following are the reasons for that. The checks issued but not presented to the bank for payment, the checks deposited but not realized, direct remittances, payment on standing orders, bank charges and charges on checkbooks. So these are the main reasons. Start writing the note. Take about 1 to 2 minutes. When it is 7:28, we'll move on to the next area, that is learning about checks issued but not presented to the bank for payment. Okay, I will move on to the next slide. So we will learn about the checks issued but not presented to the bank for the payment. Okay. The checks issued but not presented to the bank for payment. Okay. When banks issue check, they are credited to the bank account. Then the balances of the bank account maintained by the businesses is decreasing. Okay. What happens is when we are issuing a check, when the business is issuing a check, what happens is they are crediting the bank account. And then the balance of the bank account is decreasing. චෙක් එකක් ඉෂුව කරපු ගමන් මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? බැංක් එකේ bank account balance එක අඩු වෙන්න ඕනේ. But there could be instances where some of these checks issued by the business may not have been presented to the bank for the encashment even at the end of the period. ඒ කියන්නේ check එක business එකෙන් issue කරනවා, හැබැයි මේක bank එකට present වෙලා නැහැ. බිස්නස් එක ඔයා හිතන්න අපි හිතමු අපි බඩු ටිකක් ගත්තා. බඩු වලට කෑෂ් වලට ගෙවන්න කිව්වා. ඒ නිසා මම කෑෂ් චෙක් එකක් දුන්නා. එතකොට බැංක් account එකෙන් ඒකට අදාළ ගාණ අඩු වෙනවා. හැබැයි මගේ බැංක් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම බැංක් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකෙන් ඒ චෙක් එකට අදාළ ගාණ අඩු වෙන්නේ ඒ චෙක් එක බැංක් එකට ප්‍රසන්ට් වුණොත් විතරයි. එතකොට සමහරක් වෙලාවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන් මම මේ දුන්න චෙක් එක බැංක් එකට ප්‍රසන්ට් වෙලා නැහැ. For example, let's say there is Amal and Kamal. Okay, Amal is buying goods from Kamal and Amal is giving a check. Okay, then what should happen to Amal's account is Amal's account balance should ideally go down. At the moment Amal is giving the check, Amal will credit his own account. Okay, but the other party, he will collect the check. Okay, and rather than presenting it to the bank, what he might do is he might give it to another person. දැන් චෙක් එක ගත්ත එක්කෙනා තව කෙනෙක්ට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක බැංක් එකට ප්‍රසන්ට් කරන්න නැතුව. එයාගේ මොකක් හරි පේමන්ට් එක. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? අර account දෙකේ balances දෙක month end එක ගද්දි වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඇයි දැන් මුලින්ම ගත්ත එක්කෙනා එයා චෙක් එක දෙද්දි බැංක් account එක credit කරලා දුන්නේ. හැබැයි චෙක් එක තාම බැංක් එකට present වෙලා නැති නිසා අර balances දෙක වෙනස් වෙනවා. These are known as the checks issued but not presented or unpresented checks. Since the bank has not paid for these checks, they are not recorded as payments in the bank statement. Therefore, the balance in the bank account of the business, okay, should be less than the balance of the bank statement. දැන් අර මුලින්ම චෙක් එක දෙද්දි එයාගේ බැංක් account එකේ balance එක අඩු කරගත්තා. හැබැයි බැංක් එකට present වෙලා නැති නිසා බැංක් statement එකේ balance එකයි බැංක් account එකේ balance එකයි ගත්තොත් බැංක් statement balance එක වැඩි, බැංක් account balance එක අඩුයි. හරිද? ඒක තේරුණාද? Did you understand that? What is happening over there? Students, did you understand? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Everyone everyone understood it, right? Okay. Let's write this now. Note. you will have to put a small subheading with the name the checks issued but not presented to the bank for the payment. When a business issues check, the amount credited to the bank. When business issues checks, the amount is credited to the bank account. Then the balance of the bank account maintained by the business decreases. However, in some cases, these checks may not be presented to the bank for the encashment, even by the end of the period. These are known as the checks issued but not presented or unpresented checks. Since the bank has not paid for these checks, they are not recorded as payments in the bank statement. Therefore, the balance of the bank account of the business should be less than the balance in the bank statement. Okay. So you can start writing this. We have less time remaining on our Zoom session also. So take about 2 to 3 minutes and start writing this. If you have any question, you can ask from me. Disuli, is there a connection issue on your side? I mean, I'll post. Okay, I will move on to next slide and I will give you a small time to complete this as well. Okay. So the second reason, okay, why there is a difference between the bank account and the bank statement balance. The checks deposited but not realized. The checks deposited but not realized. Now, earlier we spoke about a situation where we issue a check, but it is not being presented. Okay. Now here, check is deposited but not realized. When received checks are deposited to the bank account of the business should be debited because the bank balance is going up. Okay. Then the balance in the bank account increases. Some of these checks that were deposited may have not been realized by the end of the time period. Okay. Realization of check refers to the process that the amount mentioned in the check has been collected and added to the current account in the bank. It would take few days for the amount of check to be collected and added to the balance in the bank account. So it is possible bank has not recorded the value of the checks deposited in the books of the bank even at the end of the relevant time period. And these checks are identified as the checks deposited but not realized. Therefore, checks deposited but not yet realized are not recorded as not recorded as deposits in the bank statement. Therefore, balance of the bank account of the business should be higher than the bank statement. හරිද? මෙතෙන්දී මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? Now let's say now earlier we learned where we issue a check. හරිද? business එක අයිතිකාරයා check එකක් issue කරනවා, but it is not presented to the bank. Here the other way is happening. I have received a check, so I go to the bank and I deposit it. However, what happens is when I deposit a check, it takes a certain period of time to realize it. දැන් මං ගිහිල්ලා බැංක් එකේ check එකක් දැම්මම ඒ check එක realize වෙන්න ටික කාලයක් යනවා. මොකද let's say now that check is not belonging to the same bank. Okay, I have account in Sampath Bank, so I go and deposit the check I received in Sampath Bank. Okay, but that check is not from Sampath Bank. Let's say it's from Commercial Bank. Then what happened is Sampath Bank has to electronically send that check to Commercial Bank and verify account එකේ සල්ලි තියනවද check එක හරිද වෙන මොකුත් technical errors තියනවද මේ ටික මේව කරගන්න මේ check එක ලංකා clearing කියන system එකක් කරා යවනවා. හරිද? These things they take time. When it takes times, what happens is now as soon as I receive the check and I deposit it into the bank account, what I do in my bank account is I am debiting my bank account since I received the check. හරිද? හැබැයි on a real time basis මේ මම debit කරගත්ත check එක bank account එක ඇතුලේ realize කරගන්න bank එකට there will be a period of time that is required. හරිද? මේකට අපි කියනවා realization of checks කියලා කියනවා. හරිද? Process that the amount mentioned in the check has been collected and added to the current account in the bank. ඒ කියන්නේ අර check එකේ face එකේ ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් අපි හිතමු ලක්ෂයක් කියලා. ඒ ලක්ෂය අර account එකට credit වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මගේ account එක නම් මගේ නමින් ඒ ලක්ෂයක් විතර තියෙන්න ඕනේ. මේකට කියනවා realization එක කියලා. ඒ realization එකට මම කිව්වා වගේ අර ඒ check එක වෙනත් බැංකුවක නම් තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙනත් මොන හරි technical දේවල් තියෙනවා නම් එහෙම නැත්නම් let's say now you have received a check. හරිද? ඒ check එක බැංකුවටත් දුන්නා. හරිද? නමුත් අපි කියවනේ checks issue කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා සල්ලි නැතුව. එතකොට මේක check එක දාන්න ගියාම සමහරක් වෙලාවට ඔයාලට check එක දුන්න කෙනා කියන්න පුළුවන් මම පොඩ්ඩක් ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ සල්ලි ටික නැහැ. ඒ නිසා මට සල්ලි ටික දාගන්න පොඩි වෙලාවක් දෙන්න. So don't like keep it කියලා. හරිද? සමහරකට බැංකුවට ඉන්ස්ට්‍රක්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්තම් ඔයාටත් කියලා mutually ඒ විදිහට agreement එකක් යන්න පුළුවන්. Then what happen is අර check එකේ face එකේ ලියලා තියෙන amount එක හරිද? account එකට credit වෙන්න it takes a time. There will be a time taken for realization of that check. Because of that, you have recorded it in the bank account, but our account statement එක ගත්තම account statement එකේ ඒක mention වෙන්නේ නැහැ because it's not yet realized. So that is what we are learning. The checks deposited but not realized. So I hope you understand it. Are there anything that you didn't understand? Shall we straight away move on to the note? What are the things you need to I mean, like sort of like inquire and ask. We have less than a minute in this Zoom session. So this Zoom session will close out soonly and I'll send you a new link. Okay. So what are the questions you have? Are there any question that you're having? Are there anything that you didn't understand? Okay, then when the checks deposited and not realized, what is happening is balance in the bank account, it's higher. Whereas the balance in the bank account, bank statement balance is lower. මොකද අපි bank account එකේ අපේ business එකේ bank account එකේ අරක record කරා. නමුත් bank statement එක ගත්තොත් මේක realization එකට යන කාලය නිසා ඒක bank statement එකේ record වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Because of that reason, bank account balance is higher, whereas bank statement balance is lower. So let's go for the note. Put a subheading, the checks deposited but not realized. I will read out this note, okay? When checks are deposited into the bank, the business debits its bank account, increasing the balance. However, some of these deposited checks may not be cleared by the end of the period. Realization of checks refers to the process that the amount mentioned in the check has been collected and added to the current account in the bank. It would take few days for the amount of the check to be collected and added to the balance in the bank current account. Therefore, it is possible that the bank has not recorded the value of the checks deposited in the books of the bank even at the end of the relevant time period. These checks are identified as the checks deposited but not realized. Therefore, checks deposited but not realized are recorded as deposits in the bank statement. Therefore, checks deposited but not realized are not recorded as deposits in the bank statement. Therefore, the balance of the bank account of the business should be higher than the balance in the bank statement. Okay, you can start writing the note. Take about, let's say, about 5 minutes and write it. You can take about 5 minutes and write it. Okay, let's move on to next reason for the difference between the bank account balance and the bank statement balance. Okay. Direct remittances. Direct remittances කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? There are occasions when some customers deposit their dues directly to the current account of the bank. Similarly, receivables such as rent, maybe interest, dividends are sometimes directly remitted to the current account. These are known as direct remittances. A business realizes such direct remittances after receipt of the bank statement. Although such deposits have been recorded as receipts in the bank statement, they are not recorded in the bank account of the business. So because of that, what happens is bank account balance of the business is less than the balance in the bank statement. Direct remittances කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට businesses ගත්තොත් එහෙම there are some instances where now there are some instances where people who are supposed to pay you, they are not giving you the cash or the check straight away. Rather, they go and deposit it in the bank account. වාට කියන්නේ නැතුව කෙලින්ම ගිහිල්ලා bank account එකේ සමහරක් වෙලාවට දාන්නත් පුළුවන්. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි හිතමුකෝ මොකක් හරි rent එකක් එන්න තියෙනවා කියලා. rent එක දෙන එක්කෙනා ඔයාට කියා ඉන්නේ නැහැ. rent එක දානවා account එකට rent එක දාලා තියෙනවා. But you don't know about it. And let's say even something like interest. Now, when you are receiving interest, let's say that you have deposited a fixed deposit and you are receiving interest. And once you receive that interest, bank is not going to say, "Hi, Amal, I am going to deposit this interest to you." No, they are not coming to you and saying something like that. Instead, what will happen is it will straight away go into your bank account. එතකොට අපි ඒකට කියනවා direct remittance එකක් කියලා. Dividend එකක්. Again, you have invested in share market and you are receiving dividends. So once you are receiving those dividends, straight away, those are directly remitted into the bank, and they do not tell you like, okay, we are depositing this and depositing it. I mean, they are telling you, but the specifics like the timing and all, they are not telling it, or you cannot decide it. It will straight away directly remitted into the account. එතකොට ඔයා එක දන්නේ නැහැ මේක directly මගේ account එකට ආවා කියලා. So what happens is your bank account balance, the bank statement balance is going up because it is being recorded in your bank statement. But on your side, since you don't know, you don't record it in your bank account, ledger account. Then your bank ledger account balance is lower, whereas the bank statement balance is higher because it is being directly remitted. So that's it. So businesses can realize such direct remittances after receipt of the bank statement. එතකොට bank statement එක ආවට පස්සේ තමයි you have to check, okay, I have received this interest income, I have received this let's say dividend income, okay, my the rent also has been received, so let's record it in my bank account, and you are recording it. That's how. Did you understand this direct remittance concept? Did you understand it? Guys, please speak out. Guys, did you understand, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move on to the note. You can put the subheading as direct remittances, and I will read out the note. Direct remittances. There are occasions when some customers deposit their dues directly to the current account at the bank. Similarly, receivables such as rent, interest, and dividend, etc., are sometimes directly remitted to the current account. These are known as direct remittances. A business realizes such direct remittances after the receipt of bank statement. Bank statement එක ආවට පස්සේ තමයි ඒක හොයාගන්න වෙන්නේ. Although such direct deposits have been recorded as receipts in the bank statement, they have not been recorded in the bank account of the business. මොකද ඔයා දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක කවදද ආවේ, කීයක් ආවද, මොකක්ද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක දැනගන්න වෙන්නේ bank statement එක ආවට පස්සේ තමයි. Therefore, the bank account balance of the business is less than balance in the bank statement. Okay, take about 2 to 3 minutes and please write this. So we have quite a lot of things to do. We'll try to finish these few reasons. Okay, placement on standing orders and bank charges. We'll try to finish off these two as well. Take about 1 minute and quickly write this. Put the subheading direct remittance and write it. In case you could not write it, what you can do is you can refer to the YouTube video, you can pause it and write it as well, okay? Students, since we have sort of like limited time, shall I move on to next slide so you can write this out? I will explain you the next two concepts as well, so we can finish it off today. Students, shall I move on to the next slide, please?
Okay, sir. I will take this notes on YouTube video, sir.
Okay, now we studied about three reasons why the bank balance and the bank statement balance differ. Okay, now we are turning on to the fourth reason, that is a payment on standing orders. Okay, standing orders refers to an order made to the bank in writing by the business to pay a certain regular amount, such as repayment of installment of bank loans, leasing installments, insurance premiums, and other similar payments from the cash in the current account. The business get to know of these payments after receiving the bank statement. The bank deduct these values from the current account after payment of such standing orders. Okay. Although the payment on standing orders have been deducted or debited in the bank statement, these have not been added in the bank account yet. Therefore, balance in the bank account of the business is higher than the balance in the bank statement. Then now we studied about three things. The fourth thing is payment on standing orders. Okay. What did we study earlier? Earlier we studied about direct remittances. This is sort of like straight away opposite of direct remittances. This is about payment on standing orders. Now what happens is in businesses, let's say that you have a current account. Okay, you have a current account in Sampath Bank. Okay, and then you have a let's say you have a you have taken a leasing facility or loan facility from commercial bank. Okay, so what you do is you give a standing order to, and you are receiving all your money to Sampath Bank. හරිද? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මොකද කරන්නේ? You are giving a standing order on a particular date, send this loan installment or leasing installment to the commercial bank. Okay, so you are giving an instruction as that. And on the other hand, let's say, okay, you think, okay, I need to take a life insurance, and you have taken a life insurance. Life insurance also, what you do is you are giving a standing order to the bank. Okay, on this particular day, pay this particular amount to the my insurance company. And you have also taken a car insurance. Car insurance එකක් කියනවා මේ දවසේ මෙච්චර ගාණක් මේ insurance company එකට ගෙවන්න කියලා. So what happens is, without you being known, since you have already given this instruction on a standing order, this payment will be processed. Bank account එක debit වෙලා අර අදාළ අනිත් බැංකුවට හරි insurance company එකට හරි නැත්නම් වෙන කෙනෙක්ට හරි ඒ third party එකට මේ සල්ලි ටික යනවා. Okay, but you don't know about this. You will only know about this once you receive the banking statement. Okay, after receiving the bank statement only you will know about these payments. So what happens is bank will debit that amount from your current account and they will make the payment. Okay, because you have given the standing order instruction. But you don't know about this because bank has already processed it and it's on your instruction. Okay, only you have given the instruction and this is for a valid payment. So after some time, you will receive the banking statement, and once you are cross-checking only, you will realize, okay, these payments have been processed. So I have not recorded them in my bank account. So what should you do? You should credit your bank account and you should make the payments. Okay, you should make the payments in the sense you should credit your bank account and debit your expenses account and record these entries accordingly. මේ වගේ situation එකක් වුණාම මොකක්ද තියෙන scenario එක ඔයාගේ bank account balance එකේ balance එක overstate වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ bank account balance එක වැඩිපුර තියෙන්නේ අර ඇත්තටම bank statement එකේ balance එකට වඩා. Because you don't, without you knowing, without you knowing in particular, bank has made payments for these standing orders. හරිද? මේක තේරුණාද? What are the things you did not understand in this? Students, tell me, what are the things you didn't understand? Did you all understand this? Students, මේක තේරුණාද කියන්න? The Anushka and Litumi, did you understand this? Vikesh?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you explain the first point again?
What do you mean in particular?
Sir, on the previous slide.
This one?
No, sir. Now you explain, sir.
You mean the direct remittance?
No, sir. Now you explain this.
Okay, it's like this. Now, we have now banks have a facility called standing orders. Banks have a facility called standing orders. Standing orders means that you can give an instruction to the bank on a particular day, particular amount to be paid. Okay, but once you are giving a standing order, you can instruct the bank to pay on a particular day, particular amount to a party decided by you. So on that day, you need not to go to the bank and make the payment. Instead, what is happening is electronically these payments are processed. Standing order ke payment ke electronically automatically processed වෙනවා. May standing orders you can give it on monthly basis. Okay, for example, let's say you want to save some amount in another bank account, and you can instruct your bank to pay that bank account, let's say 1,000 rupees every month on 25th, uh, on the 25th day of the month. You can do a, you can instruct the bank like that. So once you are doing that, what is happening is bank is automatically processing these payments. If you have money in your bank account එකේ සල්ලි තියෙන්න ඕනේ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේ standing orders bank account එක overdrawn වෙලා යන්නේ නැහැ. හරිද? OD වෙලා යන්නේ නැහැ. If you have money in your bank account, what happens is automatically these payments are being processed. Now let's say මම අර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ, let's say that you want to make payments for a loan. Okay, what you do is you give an instruction, okay, on this particular day. Now let's say on 25th of every month, pay 10,000 rupees to this particular bank account. And you are giving that standing order to the bank. That is the one instruction. And once you gave that, what happens is bank is automatically making the payments. Okay. So you don't know, you don't have to go to the bank and instruct the bank to know to make the payment. Rather, what is happening is automatically payments are being processed. Then these things you will know only after you receive the bank statement. Bank statement එක ආවට පස්සේ තමයි ඔයාට පේන්නේ මෙන්න මේ payments එක ගිහිල්ලානේ. So likewise, only you will realize, okay, these payments have been made. But in your bank account, you have not recorded them because you maybe you forgot it, maybe you never knew about it, so you have not recorded it. So what you have to do is then you have to take your bank account and you have to record it. දැන් මේ වගේ සිනාරියෝ එකකදී මොකද වෙන්නේ? අර bank account එකෙන් bank statement එක දිහා බලද්දී automatically pay වෙලා තියෙන හින්දා bank statement balance is lower than the bank account balance. But ideally, what you should do is you should record it in the bank account and you should bring the balances to a same or similar level. Did you understand, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we can do is since we are running out of time, okay, you can refer to this note later and you can complete this note, okay, payment on standing orders. And we shall try to, we have about very small, one point only, okay. We will finish it. Then this entire thing is completed. So what you can do is you can refer to this on YouTube, or I can send you the note as well, and you can complete it. Okay. So shall I move on to the next slide so we can finish it off? Is it okay? Is it okay, guys? Shall I move on?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So the writing the note is the homework. Okay. Okay. And the thing that Dhanushkan asked earlier also. Now we are coming to another section called bank charges and the charges on the checkbook. Okay. Another reason, the final reason why the bank statement balance and the bank account balance is changing. The charges that bank deduct from the current account for the services rendered by the bank to the current account holder is known as the bank charges. So that is the very formal definition. The charges that bank deduct from the current account for the service rendered by the bank to the current account holder is known as the bank charges. The amount charged for the checkbook issued by the bank to the business is called as the charges for the checkbook. මං කලිනුත් කියවනේ now if you are issuing a checkbook, if the bank is issuing a checkbook, bank is charging you because it require, let's say, it requires all these material purchases, printing books, transporting it, processing it, managing that all that work. So for all that, it will require some amount of money. So for that, what bank does is bank will charge you some amount. The business realizes know these charges after receipt of the bank statement. එතකොට අර අපි කලින් කතා වුණා වගේ standing orders වගේ it's now one difference on standing order and bank charge is standing orders, of course, to a certain extent you know because you have given the instruction. But things like bank charges, you have not given the instruction. It's a fee that is being charged on you. Okay, it's a fee that is being charged on you, so you don't know. That is why it comes under two different points, standing order and bank charges. Okay, so these things also you will realize only after you receive the bank statement. So the charges have been debited by the debited in the bank statement as payment. So obviously bank account balance is going down, and in once you are receiving it's being recorded as a payment. Okay, they have not been recorded in the bank account of the business at the end of the time period. So you don't know. How do you know about the charges? I mean, how much charges, what are the services you have taken and the charges and all that. You might not know. So you have not recorded it in your bank account. So what happens ultimately is the balance of the bank account of the business. Okay, that is little bit higher than the bank statement. මොකද අර bank statement එකෙන් charges ටික ඔක්කොම අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. For the checks, for the checkbook you have taken, maybe SMS and all these communication charges. If you have taken some bank statement also, that charges. And if you have taken now, let's say if you do stop check or or check returns also, then there are charges. We have been discussing about it earlier. ඒ වගේ දේවල් වුණොත් එහෙම ඔයාලට charges යනවා. ඒ charges වලට මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔයාගේ bank statement එකේ balance එක අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා, but you have not received that on the other side. You have not recorded it in your bank account. So bank account balance is higher than the bank statement. What you should do is you should reconcile these two amounts. Okay. So with that, this is the note. Okay, what you can do is I will keep this for a small period of time and I will read this out. Bank charges and the charges on checkbook, the heading. The fees deducted by the bank from a current account for the service provided are known as bank charges. The amount charged for issuing the fees deducted by bank from a current account for services provided are known as bank charges. The amount charged for issuing checkbook to a business is referred to as checkbook charges. The business become aware of these charges only upon receiving the bank statement. These charges are debited as payments in the bank statement but not have been recorded in the business owner's business owned bank account records by the end of the period. Therefore, the balance of the bank account of the business should be higher than the balance in the bank statement. So you can write this out. Okay. We have about 2 slides. Let's look at what is inside. The reasons for the difference between these balances can be identified only after the comparison of bank account of the business and the bank statement sent by the bank. Accordingly, reasons for the difference should be identified first by comparing bank account and the bank statement. දැන් අපි කතා වුණේ මුලින්ම මොනවද රීසන්ස් කියලානේ මේ බැංක් account එකේ බැංක් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකේ ඊට පස්සේ බැංක් account එකේ differences උයි. දැන් අපි ඊළඟට කතා කරන්න යන්නේ අපි කොහොමද මේක reconcile කරගන්නේ කොහොමද මේ process එක කරන්නේ කියලා. අපි ඒක next week කරමු. So with that we have identified 5 reasons for the differences between the bank account balance and the bank statement balance. The checks issued but not presented to the bank for the payment, the checks deposited but not realized, direct remittances, payment on standing orders, and bank charges and charges on checkbooks. මේ bank charges and charges on checkbooks කියන එකේ මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? Since I couldn't give you a chance to ask any questions. Do you have any questions on bank charges and charges on checkbooks? Guys, please tell me, do you have any questions?
Yes, sir.
It's clear for all others as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then with that, we can conclude the session. So there are 2 homework. Okay, this homework I want you to do and I want you to send me. Okay, you have to write the note for the bank charges and charges on checkbook, this slide. And this other slide, payment on standing orders. Okay. All others we have written it. These 2 you need to write it. Okay, write it and send me. And next day we can see how the reconciliation of the bank statement and final bank account balance is happening. So with that we can conclude the lesson. Maybe next week we can conclude that lesson and move on to the next lesson. Okay, with that we can wrap up today's class. Are there any questions or any so that you need to ask inside, I mean about the syllabus or outside the syllabus? Are there anything that you want to ask? Any question?
Yes.
Others? Others also fine?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then with that we can conclude today's session and we will meet on next Saturday at 6:15 p.m. Sorry, 6:15 a.m. So if you have any question, you can ask me over the WhatsApp or you can comment on this video also so I can answer them. And yeah, with that we can conclude today's session. And thank you so much for your presence.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.